Bonjour. Hola. Attends, parce que I'm not well seated. It's really tricky.
Well, Sunday.
Well, Sunday, we are now in the corner of the house. Almost.
We are always changing the background so you don't get bored.
Yeah, so now what we were thinking today was to talk about we have a problem. So what is this reflecting to?
It's been a Sunday with lots of problems, so Houston,
Did it?
we have a problem.
Yeah, Houston, we have a problem, clearly. Yeah, but is it really a problem, or is it more that something rises and then you have to figure out a solution? Like, what would be in reality a problem? Like, I have the feeling something that can be solved always isn't a problem. So, what you understand? Like, I don't know if it's a problem, if having problem is not a state of mind.
To see the things that come as problems.
Yeah.
I will.
To see them as limitation,
See.
or attends, I'm really trying to
This-
figure.
This one falls.
It's moving.
The surfing couch.
Maybe we can learn to surf on this. That's not a couch. We have to get rid of this. This is not.
This is
It's
a
not
couch.
stable.
What? Where are we?
We could say that we have a problem, but no, we can just get rid of it or repair this sofa.
Oh, well, indeed, I think what you say is just the situation and that we perceive it as problem. Well,
Yeah, I think it's more this, that something occurs and then you think, okay, I have a problem, but in reality, it's not this.
it's just life happening.
It's just the regular setting of life, because when you do things, you have things like, I mean, circumstances implies many different people, many different setting. So of course this brings different interaction, and you cannot have all the interaction as you wish. So maybe it's more about what is the attitude that one adopt facing the new circumstance. And indeed, the practice of yoga is what allows you to see how to adjust within the circumstance, or what does it rise in the circumstance.
I feel we perceive as a problem when we have a situation and then we have many options to respond to the situation.
Yeah.
So the conflict comes in what should I choose? What is the
What would be the right-
consequences? Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe yoga gives you the clear mind to see through the options, to make better decisions.
Yeah, because it allows you to put yourself as the observer and not anymore as the part of the situation, like you are observing it from the outside. So because you observe it from the outside, you are not taking part. It's a bit this sense of I am the doer. When you succeed to separate from this feeling that you are the one who is acting, then you can stop just reacting. Because when you react, it becomes a problem.
We have a problem with the internet.
No, we don't have a problem with internet because
Something
we
is
just took
happening.
out the Wi-Fi. So it would be more this. I think one perceives the situation as a problem when he's entangled. Like when you have the feeling you cannot do anything else. And then it becomes a problem. But in reality, this position to have the feeling that you are prisoner of a circumstance belongs to each of us. Because you can always adjust or find a new answer to something. Like, you don't have to take it as, I am stuck, I cannot do anything. No, you can just always decide to act.
I think it's the fear of mistaking in the response. So I am afraid that my response to this action will be the wrong one, or that I could have done it better. And so that...
Yeah, but actually it's interesting because you use the word fear. And actually a circumstance becomes a problem when you let fear passing before your capacity to analyze the situation. And I see, because I had a talk about this notion that if we group ourselves, we have to do a test, so to be sure that we are together. So we made the test to know that we are COVID-free, for example. And then I asked another person that was supposed to come with us, with the two of us to do, and she had fear not to be able to come because blah blah blah, and if it's not positive or negative, or useless waste of time. And then I told her, but the truth is that you didn't do it. So do not anticipate what is the answer only
scenario.
out of your fear. Do not only go in the worst scenario, as you say, but also just do it and adapt yourself to what the answer is given. So the problem is always when you imagine only the worst scenario. But in reality, when you face a situation, you just or observe and accept all form of scenario, like you could imagine all form of scenario, or just not even imagine the scenario, and observing and being stable enough just to adapt to what the reality is offering, instead of creating in your head a potential situation, because then you create this potential situation.
And in a way, also, you kind of get attached to it. So you hope things
Yeah,
will
yeah.
work in this way. And
Yeah.
that's also the fear that
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
it doesn't work, and I'm
Yeah.
already waiting for it.
Yeah. So it's important to see that the problem comes indeed from the fact that one does not succeed to place himself as an observer. That most of the time when we imagine the worst case and not all of the cases, like to actually look for the also positive result. It's also possible to have positive things in our life. It doesn't have to be always an issue. And also to not create the situation in your head so that you don't attach to it, that you just adapt to what is here. That's why being in the present is so important, because sometimes you're so attached to the picture that you had that you don't see that the present is different, and so you don't adapt yourself sufficiently fast. T'es d'accord?
Bah oui.
Ouais.
C'est pas bien
De quoi?
de croire, si j'ai bien compris, c'est de croire une image qui est après, sauf qu'elle n'est pas après.
Voilà, c'est en fait ce que j'expliquais,
Faut
c'est
jamais
en
penser
français.
ce qui est après, parce que ça se trouve, ça va même pas se penser. Si ça ne se pense pas ou si ça n'existe pas, bon, après tu vas être triste peut-être, tu vas être fâché.
En fait, c'est pas la peine d'anticiper toujours dans sa tête une situation. C'est mieux juste de rester dans le présent et d'apprendre à s'adapter à ce que le présent nous donne. Et c'est ce que le yoga il nous aide à faire. Et effectivement, parfois, dans notre tête, on croit tellement qu'on va nous dire non. Je pense notamment à mes enfants qui parfois pensent tellement que je vais dire non que même quand je leur dis oui, ils commencent par s'énerver en me disant pourquoi tu nous dis tout le temps non? Ben, parce que j'ai pas dit non, j'ai dit oui. Mais dans leur tête, ils pensaient tellement que j'allais dire non qu'ils n'ont pas réussi à s'adapter au présent. I'm saying it's indeed the capacity to adapt to the present. And because Isel interacted with us, I was saying how the kids sometimes, they ask for something and they think I'm going to say no. And so they shout at me, but I said yes. So they shout at me before I tell them yes. And then I say, but I told you yes. And then they get upset. And I say, you didn't hear that I said yes. So it's because they are not in the present. They are in the position where they think it's going to be a problem. Because they are asking for TV or whatever. I mean, in our case, when I talk about them, it's this.
In a way, I also believe that picturing the worst scenario will help you get rid of the fear, because you say, okay, in the worst case,
it's
this, but also it creates lots of anxiety. And so the mind can create thousands of scenarios. And then we just spend the whole day creating, and then indeed for some things it's good, but the trick is in when is it good, and is it so big the problem that you need to picture the worst scenario, because then your life becomes this, you're just picturing the worst all day.
No, and because the truth is that can you really change the worst scenario? It's also this, that we spend a lot of time imagining, but sometimes it's on things on which you have no power. So that's why at the end it's better just to surrender and to accept and to learn to adapt to what is here. Because you can imagine whatever you want. The truth is that you cannot control reality. So you just have to be in the present and surrender. And more you surrender, more you adjust.
I like these notions that you say that we tend to perceive things as problems, but in reality it's just situations of
It's just-
life.
yeah.
There are things that are
We just
happening.
have to... Au revoir! We just have to take them.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just... Anyway,
It's
flowers...
just the wheel of life. It's happening.
Yeah, it's like this.
You
like
have
the
to.
flower are growing and then changing form and moved by the wind and spreading their seed and moved again by the wind and then they die,
Dancing.
they dance, they multiply, they are disturbed by the bee. So yeah, it's just life.
So is this maybe to go out of the mind of the problem to perceive things as problems?
Yeah.
And just let it be.
Just let it be. Let it be. Now you say it.
Yes.
Let it be.
And may the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
Namaste.
Namaste.